Hi, how's it going? This is a video about the land of Punt, the land of Punt. So, this is a very interesting subject and a topic that is extremely fascinating, and it has so many dimensions to it. So, this is going to be something that is part of my own conjectures. I'm not a historian, I'm a person who's interested and fascinated with this, and it actually applies to me directly. So, this is why this is here. So, if you feel this, watch it. If you don't, move on and do what you do. So, here, this is what you're going to see when you search for this, the land of Punt, and then I use this. Browser. So you're gonna see that there's so many pages that link to it. So now here, the first thing to understand is the fact that the land of Punt, the land of Punt, is described as a historic mystery. Okay, this is one website, and another one saying is finally found because people have been looking for it. This is another real unexplained mystery. Another one saying it's a mystery, a mysterious land. And here is another website saying, will we ever discover the elusive land of Punt? So this is actually speaking about it as being something that is said to be found, but at the same time is still mysterious, is still being looked for. Okay, so this is something that we just have to see, the mystical land of Punt. Where is Punt? And this is from Nova, and it's being presented as a question. And this is not common of a place that is known with specifics, like knowing where Mogadishu is. You know it, you'll find it, but then there are not so many people who are going to be saying, where is it and how can we find it? So when you log into the Wikipedia page, so let's just read the Wikipedia page because this is an aggregate of the information that is surrounding this area. So the land of Punt, pronounced as Punt, was an ancient kingdom, a trading partner of Egypt. So this place is real, but then the thing is, it's not known where it is. So it was a trading partner of Egypt. It was known for producing and exporting gold, aromatic resins, blackwood, ebony, ivory, wild animals, etc. The region is known from ancient Egyptian records of trade expeditions to it. It is possible that it corresponds to Opone on the Horn of Africa. So this is a possibility, okay? A possibility. This is not a fact. This is not proven, okay? So this is a possibility as applied to the knowledge that was given through the ancient Greeks. So here is where I am. So while some biblical scholars have identified it with the biblical land of Put or Havilah. So this is me here, right here in this minority. And I'm not the one who edited this, but this is as I found it. And when I read this article, it was already supporting what I was already in the midst of realizing. So, biblical scholars have identified it with the biblical land of Put or Havilah. So, this is the perspective that this whole video is taking, the whole perspective that I'm taking. So the things that I'm going to include are going to be biblically based, etymologically based, which means the words and the atoms of the words are going to base this. So at times Put is referred to as Tauneta, the land of the god, or the land of the gods. So this is why this topic is very important, because it's called the land of God, and this is a real place. Okay, so we're journeying to that. So the exact location of Punt is still debated by historians. Okay, this is very important. So a lot of people will come to so many videos that I have. So I have some material on this. So this is why I'm not going into some of the details, because there are so many videos on it. If you want to see it, you can just go there. So many people will come and speak as if they have already found it, but then the way that they are arguing this with me is that I'm not a person who is posting this for a debate, but I'm posting this for a conversation, so that we can have a conversation. So that's why I leave some of the comments there, but then there are a lot of things that are misunderstood about it. So most scholars, okay, most scholars today believe Punt was situated southeast of Egypt, most likely in the coastal region of Djibouti, Somalia, northwest Ethiopia, Eritrea, and the Red Sea, littoral of Sudan. So this is what most scholars believe it to be, and this is what almost everybody who is calling me an idiot is referring to. So as I've already mentioned, I am not most, I am some. So this is going to be somewhat of a contrarian view. Okay, so it is also possible that the territory covered both the Horn of Africa and Southern Arabia. Very, very possible. Okay, so all of these are possibilities, and no one really knows the mysterious land of Punt. So Puntland, the Somali administrative region situated at the extremity of the Horn of Africa, is named in reference to the land of Punt. Some scholars have argued that Punt is an island of Tamarapani, present-day Sri Lanka. So this is the face of it. So you can just go through the whole article to read more, and then you discover a lot of the things that are related to this land. And even this picture shows so many question marks. So this place has not been found. So if a person is going to say that I am wrong, then they have to be able to prove the whole essence of this whole existence of the web page as it's being called the mysterious mystical land. Okay, so yeah, so it's very important to understand that there is a place called Puntland. Okay, so Puntland here, it is it's a state in Somalia, and it has its own flag, coat of arms. It's recognized and is using this name. So I understand that these people are not stupid, they're not crazy, and they're doing this for a reason. So I'm not gonna dispute that. So this is why I'm not saying that my opinion, my conjecture is what's supposed to be written down as law and everything. But as I said, this is for us to have a conversation, to build. Okay, so when we just look at some of the information here, this is where we find the information of the land of Punt. Okay, so this is a complex in Egypt, which is a temple of Hatshepsut. So this place is where the pharaoh is housed, and she has some information on how she was able to send an expedition to this land, and through this we've seen the mystique of this land and how it has affected so many people. Okay, so this, just Egyptian architecture being what it is, this place is aligned to the winter solstice sunrise, so it's pretty interesting. And the whole experience and the hieroglyphs in the temple have so many aspects that are mysterious, mystique, that have so many things that people are still trying to figure out. Okay, so for more information on the land of Punt, the specifics, the ideas, and all of those things, there are other videos. Just put those in the search tab and look on my page. There's so many videos on that. So, all right, so let's move on now. So this is Africa, right? And then here is the Horn of Africa, where the land of Punt is supposedly at. And across this is the Red Sea. Across this we have the other continent, the adjoining continent of the middle of the world. So a lot of people say that the land of Punt is here, right? And my whole issue with this narrow understanding, one-track understanding, is the fact that when this land existed, there were no borders as we see today, but the whole area was simply a landmass. So it was something like this, okay, without the borders or anything. But then now we have all of these borders and smaller territories. So this whole land could have been a whole chunk of space. It could have been a a small place, but from the records shown, it was probably a big place with with a very different environment, weather, and climate from Egypt, which was its trading partner. They had a very different atmosphere, different animals, different environment and weather, but then it was accessible through the Horn of Africa. Okay, so when I speak to people, we have to have a wider understanding of the world that we live in and not stick to certain principles that are linked to a very, very narrow and concerning view of what the world is. Not was, but what it is. Because so many things are really, really mistaken, and they're, I don't know, it's a bit sad. But then yeah, this is just uh the first aspect, that Somalia is a place that is formed by colonization. It's very, very tiny. Of course, this is now a geographic location which identifies a certain people, certain culture, certain ethnicity, certain language, traits, and everything. But this is not the origin or the genesis of the Somalian people. All right. So, all right. So now that we've covered the basic overview of this, so let's get down to what exactly I pictured this as, okay, without wasting more time. All right, so maybe we'll come back to this picture. All right, so here, Havila is put, okay. So from this video, let's just go back here. From this Wikipedia page, it says that biblical scholars link these two areas and they make them the same place, Put or Havilah, Havilah or Put. So this is actually the same understanding that I have. Okay, it's not based on Wikipedia, but it's just supported by Wikipedia, which is open source information. Okay, so Havilah, what is it? Havilah is referred to in the Bible. So this is a very, very, very special place because it is the first landmass that is named of all of the lands in existence. So the name of the first river. So when God created the Garden of Eden, say that the name of the first river shall be Pison, that which encompasses the whole land of Havilah where there is gold. All right. So this was the first river, and this river was flowing, encompassing a place that is filled with gold in Havilah. So here, from this understanding in Genesis 2:1:1, you can just look at that and confirm. So in this land is called Havilah, and Havilah is Put. Okay, so this is where the place is. What the Egyptians called the land of God is linked to this place of Put, is linked to Havilah. It's the same place. So let's just take a look at this. All right. So, all right. So here I just brought up a map of Africa. Okay. So this is the whole area of Africa, right? And then like I'm just gonna take these words here, that the whole land of Havilah is a place where there is gold. And from the understanding that I have, it is to first of all appreciate the fact that Africa encompasses the whole of Africa. The Garden of Eden encompasses the whole of Africa plus parts of the Middle East up to Mesopotamia. These are the rivers that are mentioned. So the first river will be Pison, the second one will be Gihon, and then the third one Hiddekel, then the last one is Euphrates. And all of these are in Havilah. This is the first land. The second land would be in Ethiopia, and the third one would be in Syria. So this was the Garden of Eden. So where is Havilah? Where is it? So a lot of people actually don't place the Garden of Eden in Africa, but as we understand, from the cradle of mankind. So this is a picture here. All right, let me pull this up. This here, this is a picture of from Harvard. Okay, so this picture here, it is showing the migration patterns of early humans. This is from the first human beings on Earth. So according to Harvard, there was Adam and Eve, and they are in this area here, which is linked to where the first human skeleton was found, which is Lucy, which was found in Ethiopia. So this was the place where people moved from this continent and went to populate the whole world. And as you can see, they were able to connect all of the land masses through these they connect the continents through the land masses. So they started here, started at the common origin. So if there was ever an Adam and an Eve, they obviously had to start in this central place here. And some of them went through the Middle East, how everyone comes out of Africa. The Israelites came out of Africa, across the Red Sea. Jesus came out of Africa. When he was being persecuted, they went to Egypt and hid him, and then he had to come out of Africa when he grew up. So everyone literally comes out of Africa, and this is Adam, this is Eve. This is according to Harvard, so you can just look at this and check it out. So this says that the first humanoids, the first people, came from this area, came from this place, came from Africa. So this is what the Garden of Eden is. So in this place, there was a place called Havilah, where there is gold. Okay. So here, let me just quickly look for a world map. All right. So now here, this is the whole world. And then when we look at this area, we're gonna be looking at a place where 4 rivers connect, which is Pison, Gihon, Hiddekel, Euphrates, and also a place where 3 land masses are next to each other, which is Havilah, Ethiopia, Assyria, and those 3 land masses with those 4 rivers. So the only place that has that criteria would be Africa and the Middle East. So when we're trying to find Havilah, which is Put, which is finding this lost mysterious land, we have to first of all find it in a place where there is gold, because this is a characteristic of this land. So there's gold, there's bdellium, and there's onyx stone. So there are a lot of minerals there in that place, but then especially gold. Okay, this is very, very, very important. So when we are looking at the world map here, just zoom in on the world here. If we look in America, there's not a lot of gold. South America, no gold. Asia, no gold. Textiles, precious stones. And this is according to the CIA fact book here. CIA fact book. And we go to Europe, no gold. What they have is transport equipment, electrics, and things like that. Okay, so it's a bit pixelated. And then when we come to Africa here, this is where we find gold in this whole continent. So we see that there's gold in the western area here, West Africa. We see that there's gold here in the middle area. This is the land of Kush now. And in Kush is the place of Nubia. And Nubia means gold. So Nubia means a lot of things, from Noba to Nub to Nubia, which means gold. And all of this is an area of gold, and all of these diamonds. So this is correlating to the onyx and the bdellium that is mentioned to come from Havilah. So the gold of that place is good. So here there's a lot of gold in the south, in the west, and in the middle. But this is according to the CIA, right? So I'm just trying to apply this to our reality. According to the CIA, according to the Bible, this area in Africa here has a high likelihood to be Havilah. Okay, so let's move on. So the whole name, so the first name is that which has in the land of Havilah where there is gold. Okay, so the gold part of it, finding gold is finding Havilah. This is important because it's called the land of God, right? And then when we actually remove this L, we have God. When we put the L, we have gold. Okay, so this is the land of gold, the land of God. So L actually means Elohim, which is God. So there's God in gold. All right. So this is why gold is so important, so powerful. So it's mentioned in the first chapters of the books of life. Gold, like God is talking about that. All right. So here is the etymology of the word Havila. Havila means circle. So the circle of life means bringing forth. Okay, it means a place of birth. It is the first water. Everyone comes out of the water. The first water that forms earth. Earth is breath. So it brings forth earth, brings forth breath, land of God. So the people who first walked the earth were gods. They're called in my language Musikawanu. And Musikawanu is a man maker, a maker of man, which is what God did. He made man. So this is bringing forth, this is breath. It's also a languishing village. This is what this word means, village. And here, vill. So this is Havila. So this is a villa. It's a village. So it's a languishing village, though. This is a negative aspect of it. This is why people actually don't really know it, because they're languishing in their own village. So they're confused. This is a place to whirl, like a circle. It's a whirlwind. Okay, to whirl, to twirl, to squirm, to bring forth, a place of pain, a place of birth. So when you give birth, it's not pretty, it's not simple, it's difficult, it's hard, it's bloody, it's messy. That's what it is. So even if you look right now, it's very much characterized with these aspects. Okay, so Havila in the Bible, Genesis 10:29 and 7, is a son of Cush and a son of Joktan. So it's very important to understand that in the Bible, when a man, a woman, or anyone is given a name, the name could also mean a person. So this name, Havila, is also given to the son of Cush and the son of Joktan. So Joktan is Shemitic or Semitic, which means that he is from the Middle Eastern part. So here I'm pulling up a map. Okay, so this is a map of the Table of Nations. The Table of Nations is what happened in the beginning. So in the beginning there was Adam and Eve, and then they lived for 10 generations. After that, God flooded the whole world, and the world began again. There was a new beginning. In the new beginning, there was Noah, and Noah had his children who repopulated, replenished the whole world. So I hope that you can really see this clearly here. Okay, so here in Africa, the son of Noah who came was called Ham. This is Ham. So Ham encompassed the whole of this area here of Africa, and also of the Middle East. And the Middle East and Africa is the place that is the Garden of Eden, directly corresponding, because this is the new beginning. And then Ham, Ham, is also the Ham in Abraham. This Am is the Am in Adam. Okay, so this is the Am in Abram, Adam, Ham. These are the fathers who created, who gave forth, and this is who I am, Ham. So when you actually look up the etymology of Ham, you will discover that it's a very difficult word to explain, but it actually means a divine father, Ham. So Ham saw the father's nakedness, just like how Adam discovered that he was naked, and then he was cursed, but then the curse fell on Adam's children. The same thing happened to Ham, who saw his father's nakedness, and then he was cursed, but the curse fell onto his child Canaan. And then the curse fell on Adam's child Cain. So this is a parallel in the scripture, and you'll see it if you're looking for it. This is Proverbs 25 verse 2. It is the glory of God to hide things. It is the glory of kings to reveal things. All right. So Ham, I hope you can see it, because this is a very, very, very pivotal picture. In this image is speaking of the wealth of nations and everything. So Japheth inherited here. This is Japhet, Japheth. And then this is Shem, Shem. So these are the three sons, Ham, Shem, Japheth, who inherited the whole world. So the Semitic people will be in the Middle East and in Arabia and all of these other areas. Japheth's people are also in Asia and Europe and Americas. And Ham, who is the topic of discussion because he is the divine father, came to Africa because Africa is the cradle of mankind. So here, I hope you can see that this is a P-H-U-T. This is put or fut. So this is how you spell it, P-H-U-T. You can omit the H and say P-U-T, still okay, or P-H-U-T, which is still okay as well. So this is in Africa, and then he has this top part here, okay. And this top part here is linked to what we call the Atlas Mountains. And then his other brother here, M-I-Z-R-A-I-M, Mizraim, is here. This is Egypt, okay. Hope you can see it. It's a bit hard to see, but then I'm pretty sure if you Google this picture, you just look for the Table of Nations and you can see this, download this picture, really look at it, use a magnifying glass, whatever you do, do what you gotta do. And then here you can even see S-E-B-A. This is Seba or Sheba. This is where the Queen of Sheba came from when she traveled north to meet Solomon. She came from here. And this is very interesting now. This is Havilah. This is H-A-V-I-L-A-H. This is Havilah here. And Havilah is here. And here is where we have the places where people such as Mansa Musa came from. He was a king who was he was the richest person in the world. He had so much gold. And he came from a place called Havilah. He had so much gold that when he traveled to the Middle East. When he traveled, he destabilized the Egyptian economy for 4 years. So he had that much money that he made gold worthless. And he came from this place that is referred to as Havilah, which is apparently a place that is full of gold. And this is a place of the children of Ham. But then Ham's children is Put, Mizraim, Cush, who is here, and Canaan, who is there. Okay, so these are the children of Ham, which is a child of, which is a grandchild of Noah. All right. So I hope you're following me here. If you need to repeat that, please do, because this is very important. So this is where Havilah is, and this is where Put is, and this is a map that I found, okay? And I didn't make this map, so you can Google it and see that I'm not making this up, because so many people have this idea. So you can just look at this: the world as peopled by the descendants of Noah. Okay, this is the second beginning by Ham, Shem, and Japheth. All right, so this is a place of gold. All right, this is a place of gold. Here is Havilah. Okay, so here, let me just pull up another picture. So I want to show you another place here. All right, so I'm gonna zoom in a little bit here. So this is a map of Southern Africa. All right, this is Southern Africa. We're just looking at West Africa here, but now let's just take a look down south. So first things first, here this says Ethiopia inferior and exterior, which is in and out, which is north and south. All right, so this is a map of what? Ethiopia. It's not a map of Africa. Africa is the name that was given to this place by a Roman conqueror called Scipio Africanus. But the name, according to this Dutch cartographer, this is what they called it, Ethiopia. Okay, this is Ethiopia, not Africa. So this is in reference to what they used to call the utopia. And I'm going to get into that near the end of the video. So just hang on for that. Ethiopia, okay? So now this is showing this kingdom here, all in yellow. So this is pink, this is green. But this whole kingdom here in yellow, which is not as accurate because there's some patches here that belong to the San people, the San and the Khoisan, and also the Namibian people. And this map would go further up, but then I hope you can see this Monomotapa. This is Monomotapa. So this was a whole empire called the Monomotapa Empire. This whole area, huge area. And over here is now a country called Zimbabwe, which was first of all the center, the epicenter of this whole empire called Monomotapa. And this is painted in gold because it was an empire filled with gold. It was a golden empire. So their whole trade was in gold. Their whole aspects of life and everything was centered on gold. So this was the Monomotapa Empire, which was centered around here. This is Great Zimbabwe. So all in this area, if you actually scavenge this land, you're gonna find so many Great Zimbabwes. So a Great Zimbabwe is a house of stone. So there's so many houses of stones that were hewn in this area. All right. So this is an area of gold. All right. So just all right. So so far we're looking at this whole area, and we've looked at this area, and then we saw that this area was called Punt, this area was called Havila, and this area is Monomotapa. All right. So this is now escalating. So now Havila is Put is the son of Kush is the son of Joktan. All right. So let's switch gears. So PUT is PUNT. So this is now my conjecture that I'm making based on the evidence that I'm showing, given, telling, heard, and everything. So I'm just gonna go over this aspect here. The H is the N. So when we spell this N here, and when we spell this H here, this N is an H without this top part, this top loop here, okay? And a P is a B, okay? So I'm just gonna show you something quick, fast. So everything, as I mentioned before, is based on etymology. And the etymology is the study of the roots of the words. So I just went into etymononline.com, okay? And then I typed in Punt. So now, when I go onto the etymology site, all right, it's gonna show me so many different definitions of this word. So you see PUNT, punt, another noun, okay, as a verb, this is it, as a noun, punter. And suddenly, all of a sudden, scrolling down, it just flips. The P becomes a B. So this is also linked to here. Also compare the punt being the bunt. Okay, so the bunt refers to the burnt, and when you say burnt, you mean Ethiopian. This is the burnt faces. Okay, this is the bunt, the burnt, the punt. So this is actually a website that is just flipping this upside down for no good reason, or for some good reason. So it is the glory of God to hide things, the glory of kings to reveal things. Things have been turned upside down. Okay, so this is to understand that and where it's coming from. So here we have gone through the land of Punt. Okay, so here, let's just go over Havila again, and then I'll just go through the point of this. All right, so Havila refers to both the land and people in several books of the Bible. So in the Bible, as I mentioned before, a land usually refers to a people. A people usually refers to as a land. Just like Egypt. Egypt is the name of a person, but Egypt is the name of a land. All right. So in several books of the Bible, the one mentioned in Genesis and the other one thought to be in Africa in Genesis 10:20. So as we've seen from this slide here, we've seen that there are two Havilas. So one is a son of Cush, and Cush comes from this area of Sudan, okay? Sudan, which was Cush, okay? This is Havila, all right? And then the other one is also a son of Joktan. and Joktan is in the Middle East somewhere. He's Semitic, all right? So let's go back to that. So it refers to that, and so Havilah is associated with the Garden of Eden. It is actually the first land that is named, and here, this is a place that you're supposed to identify by the gold. And then we've gone over how Mansa Musa was one of the richest people in the world. How in Africa, the other place that was renowned and known for the gold was the Monomotapa Empire. And then we're going to go over why that's important in a second. In fact, just now. And then here it's talking about some other applications of this. So here there's some other possible locations, and I'm not dismissing anybody. This is why I want to start a conversation, but then let's not revert to mainstream thought, because as I've already mentioned, this is part of the minority. So don't tell me what the majority is already saying if you are gonna make a comment, please, because this is already known. But then here now is the interesting bit. So a man named Augustus Henry Kane believed that the land of Havilah was centered on Great Zimbabwe and was roughly contemporaneous with what was then Southern Rhodesia. So Great Zimbabwe was the center of the whole kingdom, which was huge. But then roughly the center of it was in Southern Rhodesia. And there was South and North Rhodesia, which was part of the same place. But then since we have borders, some people were separated. And I think that severed some connections in people's brains, that they actually don't realize that this is all the same place, this is all the same person. However, Havilah Camp was the name of the base camp of British archaeologists who studied Great Zimbabwe ruins in 1902 and 1904. Interesting, right? In the end, they rejected any biblical connotation with the settlement. Cool. Now, Augustus Henry Kane. So, I just want us to just critically assess this person, Augustus Henry Kane. Okay, he was an Irish Roman Catholic journalist and linguist known for his ethnological writings. So this person who is well informed, right, is thought that this place was Havilah. All right, so this is his early life in Glasgow. All right, so I was just interested in his views, and apparently it was a really bad racist. But what's interesting about him is the fact that he had so many works. All right, so this is a person who has all of this. He's made all of this. Like, he knows a lot. Okay, he knows his history. He knows his ethnology. Okay, he knows his Africa. He's talking about Egyptian Sudan, codex of this Mexican. Like, he knows this stuff. Like, what? Man, past and present. The work called Overly Racist, alright? So he knows what he's talking about. Ethnology in two parts, right? Primary ethnology groups and all of that. And then he's talking about the Boer states. He's talking about the gold of Alfer, okay? So now when we talk about the gold of Alfer, this is a place that was also rumored to be part of Great Zimbabwe. So a lot of people did not believe that black people built it. Bantu black people built it because they thought it was too sophisticated for black people. But they did correspond it with the gold of Ophir, which was King Solomon's mines, and I guess he's one of those people. But then he also translated all of this. So this is a person who's well informed, extremely erudite, all right? And then he is a person who believes that the land of Havilah was centered on Great Zimbabwe. So this one aspect is something that makes me think. I hope it also makes you wonder. All right. So this is one aspect of it. All right. So here. So we have been going over the fact that this area here in the southern part, this is Monomotapa, and this is where Great Zimbabwe was centered, and this is where he thought Havilah was. All right. And then when we went through this map, we saw that Havilah was written, not rumored. This is not a rumor. This is a map that people use to navigate. All right. So when they say that they were going to Havilah, they were going to a place such as this, which would be somewhere like Benin, Nigeria, Cameroon, or somewhere there. So this is important. So now I'm gonna talk about this whole area being linked to the land of Punt, the land of Favilla, or what have you. All right. So all right. First off, people believe that Somalia is the land of Punt. Right. Already, we've seen two maps that show, or one map actually, that shows that this was Havila, this was Put. Okay. And then I'm not taking anything away from anyone. You might live in Puntland, and since you live there, you've seen this video. I'm not taking anything away from you, but I'm just saying in Ghana and these areas, we actually have a place called the Gold Coast. All right. So, judging from the books of the Bible, they say that the land was a place that was rich in gold. This place is rich in gold. All of this Mali, Nigeria, this is where Mansa Musa came from. And now, when we look at Zimbabwe here, Zambia there, this is where Monomotapa had its stronghold. This was a gold kingdom. All right. So, here. So now I want us to go over this, all right? So now, when we are looking at this area of Put or Havila, we are first identifying this area. And this area is where Havila was or is rumored to be. And this was an area where there were so many rivers, all right? So the first river flowed through the whole land of Havila. All right. And then when we go over the maps of ancient rivers in Africa, like as you can see here, there were so many waters here, like the Niger River linking to the Congo River. So there was a flood. So who knows how deep this was, or how if they had ever connected or something like that. But then there is a river here in a place that is linked to be Havila. And then the next place would be Kush. All right, let's go back to that picture. So here we see that this area was a place that's called Havila, and this area was also another place that is filled with gold. All right. So now when I was going over this whole thing here, this H being the N, the P being the B, would lead us to saying that the P is the B, right? So we have the B, and we also have the UNT. So now we have Bunt, and then when we add the U, we have Ubuntu. And then this is already a part of the lexicon, which is called Ubuntu. Ubuntu is man. And I've already seen from the etymological website that the P mysteriously flipped and became a B. Right? So this is when we're looking at this etymonline.com that we're looking for punt. This is what I searched for, and then all of a sudden it gives me this. So there's a direct correlation with these two, and then as you can see in the actual definition of it, also compare punt. Okay, so this is where this is coming from. Okay, I'm not just pulling this out of thin air. It's not from the Easter Bunny or something. So then this is Put being Bunt. Okay, so here Put, this N, this H being an N from this, just erasing this top part here, just this top part, it looks awfully like that one. So this is to understand that language is made by people for people. All right, so don't be fooled by the Tower of Babel. So the PHUNT becomes a BUNT. So the Fut or the Put becomes the Bunt or the Bantu. Just like how Abram, and because this whole matching, missing, adding letters has always been done as a biblical principle. And as I began this, I told you this is biblically based. So the Abram becomes Abraham, just like how the Saul becomes Paul and all of that. And to get further into this, I have a video. All right, so this video is based on this scripture, Numbers 25:18. For they vex you with their wiles, wherewith they have beguiled you in the matter of pure. So there's a video on the on etymology of letters in the Bible. So if you type that, you'll find a video that speaks on vexed by pure. So it speaks about this, and I'm not able to go into that, although it's very interesting. And if you're able to do that, then you can just go into that. So here just to draw the bottom line, is to say that the punt, for me, the way that I see this, the B flips into being the T. All right. So this is how I see it. All right, because this is how it's presented. Because the here, this is not me making up this site. This is it, me searching for this and me getting that. All right. So this is what I'm seeing. Okay, this is what I'm seeing. This is what it's giving me. The P becomes the B becomes the P. And I really get into detail of how this works in the video of the matter of pure. And the but apparently is actually the bottom. All right, the bottom being the first. All right, which is also interesting stuff. Right. So yeah, you can just go on to that website. So then the punt becomes the bunt, and then here, this is where we get the word Bantu. So I'm not gonna bore you into how this U becomes an A, but then I guess you already get the point, because this becomes the whole principle that embodies the whole thing. Ubuntu, Ubuntu. And this whole idea is very important, because all of the people who claim that they are in the land of Punt should have this power, this energy. I guess this one deserves a whole other aspect. So we'll go over this, all right? So yeah, stay with me, stay with me, stay with me. So the Fat is the Bunt, the Abraham is the Abraham, and then just go on this video. It's really worth your while. It's just like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. All right. So this is why this is important. So here is Havila, according to this map. All right. According to this map, here we have Havila. I hope you can really see this so that you know that this Havila, because when I saw this, I was shocked. So this is P-U-T. This is Punt. Okay. This is Havila. So this is linking these two. Punt becomes Havila. All right. So this is Havila, and from Havila we have the Bantu people here. All right. So now, all right, let me just show you something. So here, this is the Bantu expansion. So the Bantu people, this is open source knowledge, the Proto-Bantu language speaking group. So the people spread was an original nucleus around West Africa, Central Africa, and then they spread like this. All right, so this is 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then so this is how they spread to the south. So this is the group that has the most people in Africa, and so no doubt a lot of the African Americans are part of this subgroup. So many of them, like Lil Wayne is Bantu, like he's linked to Nigeria. So yeah, so many. Can't even begin. But then from there, so they came to this area here and then spread back out again. All right, so they came from the top, went down, and then kept on going down, and then they spread, and then they came to the middle, then went back up again. So it's kind of like a torus field when you're looking at it. All right, so this is how they actually spread. So you can just look at all of this stuff and you know, really go through it yourself and see what it's all about. So the Bantu expansion is, to me, the Punt expansion, because when the world was repopulated with Put was placed in an area where he was supposed to replenish the world. Because when they built the Tower of Babel, God said it wasn't good that they just stay in one place. They had to spread around. So this is what Put did, and this is how he moved. So there's a video called The Table of Nations. So in this video, I go over the Chinese people and some of the Italians, the Americans, the white races, and all of that. And those are the children of Japheth. The children of Shem are in parts of Asia and in the Middle East. And then the children of Ham are what we're talking about right now. So the children of Ham are very important, because Ham is Adham, is Abraham. All right. So yeah, I'll link to that whole experience of understanding Adam and Ham in this video below. Okay. All right, so this is it. All right, so this is part of the Bantu expansion. This is how they moved. So this is how they moved. So this is the Bantu, the Khoisan here. These are very, very precious, important people. Indo-European. This is false because they they are European, as it says already. So talking about the natives, okay, so let's look at this again. Indo-European again is here, but this is the Bantu. So this is Havila, and this is Monomotapa, and all of these areas are linked to gold, as well as this area. So they also came from this area, but let's just move on. All right, so this is the Bantu coming here, and then this is Nuba. So Nuba means gold. And as we saw from the CIA fact book, in this area of Nuba, I'm just going to pull that up quick fast. This area of Nuba here is a place of gold. Nuba means Nub, which means gold. All right. So this is Nuba. This is the area that is also linked to these people. Okay. So all of these are Bantu here, all throughout this area. And then they all settled here and moved to other areas. All right, and let's go over another one. So again, this is the Bantu migration. So this is them spreading from Havila, spreading to Havila, because the people is the place. So as soon as people come from Havila, they become Havila. This is the people become the place. So when you look at history in Africa, you discover that there are certain structures, such as in Benin, in this area, that are called the walls of Benin. And the walls of Benin are also are seen throughout all of Africa. This is the biggest wall structure in the world, and they're seen throughout Africa until you reach up to here. So all of these are Bantu people, and as I've already shown you, they come and then they come into the center. They move from the center like a torus field. I hope you know what that is. So, so yeah, they move in that area in that fashion because that's just the way that it is. So, so here, it is also important to understand that. These are the rivers, okay? So this one here is a very special one, the River Nile. So the River Nile comes to Lake Victoria and Lake Tanganyika, and then it moves all throughout here. So the people who say that they came, the people of Egypt who are in the northern areas themselves claim that they came from down the river, and they say that they came from this area of places like Uganda. So let me pull up a map. Uganda. So Uganda is right here, and the Nile flows straight up to Egypt from Uganda. So Uganda is very important. Uganda and Congo. And when you watch Black Panther, it's in a place called Wakanda. This is based on Uganda. And when you watch the first 3 minutes, when it's giving you the introduction of the whole movie, you'd see that it shows you that the Black Panther, the whole kingdom, the whole area is in the middle of Africa. So you should just rewatch that and see that the Uganda, the Wakanda is the Uganda. And this is the place where Egypt found its civilization and where it all started from. And Ugandan people, what are they? Are they not Bantu? So this is why I'd say that a person who just says that Somalia is a country and that is the place where it's always been at, and it's never, the land of Punt was never a land but a country. I think it's a very, very sad and narrow view because Kenya and Somalia are borders, and Kenyan people are Bantu people. Somalian people are Kushites. All right, so this is also something that is interesting to me, and at the same time, I do appreciate the fact that all of this Kush, Egypt, Put, and all of those were brothers. So they are also the same person. So a person who lived in Uganda, are you telling me he never once took, like none of those forefathers ever took a stream up the Nile? Because the Nile was just like this, right? So the the people who were living in Lake Victoria further down in areas like Tanzania, you think that they Kenya, because this is Kenya, this is Tanzania, this is Uganda. So those people in so-called Lake Victoria, never took a walk up the Nile to see what was up there. So this is just a very, very sad narrative. of the people who believe that, all right, the people are always there and they'll always be here, and they're trying to defend a really sad legacy that is filled with air. So, so yeah, let's move further on. So this is um, the linkage of this whole Ethiopia to the other areas of Ethiopia. It was all called Ethiopia, as we've seen in this map. This is a map of Ethiopia, as it says right here. So it's not a map of Africa, as we have become accustomed to calling it. Ethiopia, inferior and exterior, north and south. All right. So this is Ethiopia. All right. This is Utopia. All right. So we're gonna get into that. Just right. So let's actually get into that, and we'll start to wrap this up. So yeah. So here. So in the Bible, so this is a map by the Greeks. So this is Herodotus, who was a traveling historian. So he made a map of the known world to them. So this is what he did. He created a map of every place that he knew at that time. And when it came to Africa, he spoke about the Macrobians, the Ethiopians, the Libyans. So this Libya. So when you read the Bible, sometimes Punt is called Libya. So this is where Libya was, and this is how the Nile was running. So when we are reading the whole story in Genesis, what if the rivers came from here, from Havilah? Because this is Havilah, and the Nile, according to Herodotus, was running from Atlas to Memphis. Isn't this what it's showing? So what if the whole thing was coming from here? So this is a very interesting place, because Atlas Atlas is another lost city, and this was an empire that is lost, and that was here. It was right here, and I don't think it could be any clearer than it actually is already, that this was Atlantis that was here. So when I refer to Ethiopia, remember the word Ethiopia. Ethiopia comes from this Ethiopia. When I say Ethiopia was the first utopia, I have a video on that. It means Atlantis was the first utopia. It was in Ethiopia, right? So here, this is supposedly the Atlantean Empire. The area is in white, but let me just show you something quickly. Let me just show you something so that you know that what I'm talking about is crazy, if you are gonna call it crazy, because how people respond or represent Atlantis is the interesting bit. So this is Atlantis, right? So they say it is a fictional island mentioned in an allegory by the hubris of nations, all right, by Plato, all right. So it's already been said this fictional, all right. And then when we read further on, this is reality. This is our reality. So here the people agree that it's fictional, right? But then when you read on, you see that it's written in books, right? Another book, and then it's spoken of, and this is the map that I was looking at, and then it's spoken of in different eras by different people, all right? Jews and Christians also wrote about the destruction of Atlantis, a fiction, right? So everyone was writing about the same fake story. And then in our modern day, this is the empire of Atlantis, right? And then this is now us talking about utopias. This is Ethiopia, utopia, and it's apparently Ethiopia is a fiction too, and everyone is talking about this. And then the Mayans, impact of Mayanism, are linked to the origins of. Much speculation began as to the origin of Maya. So they actually believe that they came from Maya. They discovered in the context that understands the phrases and their connection to the numeral So all of this is all about fiction. All of this, all right, about Nazism, all right, all about that. Edgar Casey actually channeled people from Atlantis, but it's a fiction, right? And then in recent times, we've been talking about this. So the location hypothesis about a fiction. So why isn't it case closed? All right, why is it such a big deal? All right, so in the Atlantic Ocean, all right, and then in Europe, other locations, older versions, utopia. So all of this is about a fiction that people agree is not there. So it's just like us saying, oh yeah, let's find Neverland. How many pages do we have on Neverland? You know, we all know it's a fiction. So what's up with this one? Look, music, painting, sculptures, everything. Look, see also all of this stuff on Atlantis. All right. So when we talk about Atlantis, which is important to this conversation, is that all right, first of all, when you go on, all right, just go on Google this Rickett structure, and then what you're gonna see are pictures of this place here. So this place is called the Eye of Africa, all right? And I'm not gonna dwell on this. In fact, there's a person with the video that does this justice. So this is speaking about the Rickett structure called the Global Recap, the Eye of Africa, Eye of the Sahara. So this is proven like beyond a reasonable doubt to be part of the Eye of the Sahara. So this is in a video by Bright Insight. Just Google Bright Insight Atlantis, and then you're gonna discover what this is all about. Then you'll see about the Rickett structure, how it's here in a place of Atlantis. This place that corresponds to what was written. It's not fake. This is a real place. But in this article in the Rickett structure, no one makes the assumption that this place is actually Atlantis. So you see that this is where the place is. This is Northwest Africa, and this is linked to the area where Punt was. Okay, this is where everyone came from, apparently, or most people came from. Northwest Africa, Mauritania, and Mauritania is MAUR, and then AU is the symbol for gold. It's AU79, which is the symbol for gold, the chemical symbol for it. So just look into that, and then you discover that this place is where the place of Atlantis actually rests and resides. And yeah, this is very important for you to know how precious Africa is in the whole scheme of things. But then it's the glory of God to hide things, the glory of God to reveal things. So this is Atlas. This is near the Atlantic. All right, the Atlas, and this is a map here. Let me show you. That shows a place. Called the Atlas, the Atlas Mountains, and this is near the Atlantic Ocean. Right. So this is the Atlas Mountains and the place of Atlantis, and this was a place where the river Nile flowed. And when we're going over the Garden of Eden, we see that the Nile was next to the river Pison, next to the river Hiddekel, and then you see that so many things start to make sense. So this is just me being a connector of dots. Okay, so as I said, I'm not a historian. I'm just a person who's infinitely curious about who I am and my ancestors. So yeah, so here we have Libya being Punt, and Punt being next to Atlantis. All right. So here. Alright, so yeah, I think we've actually gone through a lot of information. So let's just do a recap, and then we just make it secure so that you actually understand that this place here, so this place here is Havila, and this place here is Punt, and this is where the Atlas Mountains are according to this map. According to this map here. So from this area here, we have so many rivers that flow in places where we have gold in the Gold Coast and gold in the middle, in the in the southern parts of Africa, and then we also have gold in Nubia. So Nubia is a place of Kush, and Kush also has a son called Havila, and Havila is a place of gold. The person is the place. So this is also in the video of the letters and etymology and all of that. So the place is the person. So that's why Kush has a son called Havila, but then Havila is put. All right. So this is a whole cipher. It's a cipher. You have to decipher. It's a parable in parable of paradise. Paradise being the Garden of Eden. It's a parable in a parallel. So, and then this is where we get to Atlantis. This was a great utopia, which was in the paradise, but it's in parallel because this place sunk and then the whole world was replenished for one reason or another. So when you're looking at the stories in the Bible, what you're actually looking at is fact, but it's hidden, it's masked, it's in a different understanding. All right. So this is what we actually see and discover when we look at this, and we're understanding this through the fact that everyone comes out of Africa and moved out of Africa. All right. So all right. So this is also very important. So this would be a picture of all of the African kingdoms. So here, this is a picture of classic African indigenous civilizations before Asiatic or European invasion. And what we have is Kush being huge, Kemet is Egypt, Mizraim, Tobu, Ginawa, Ogadu, Songhai, Nok, Ife, and all of these are Bantu. Okay, all of these are Bantu, and here we have Atlantis. You see, this is the blank space here. Why? And we have Twa, we have Medjai, which is the Somali, and then here, apparently, according to this historian, you can Google this, okay, classic African indigenization civilizations before Asiatic or European invasion, because the people in Saudi Arabia, first of all, were the ones who started the slave trades and invasions in Africa, and right now they are in the tip of Africa here, in the areas of Libya and all of that. So Putt is no longer represented there because it was invaded. However, he moved down and further south. But when you look at this map, it shows that most or a huge chunk of Punt or a huge chunk of Somalia was in Punt, not the other way around. But then this was a huge land that encompassed areas like Lake Victoria, Lake Tanganyika. And the word Tanganyika means the beginning of the world. And when the world started, it started in this area, Tanganyika. And as we saw in the map, in the map from Harvard, we saw that from this area, this is where people moved and then populated the whole world, from a place that was somewhere here, linked to this area here, that this person who made this map that I found and I'm showing to you, called Punt or Punt, and this was the area that he said. And what's very interesting is this other area here, which I'll go into in another day in another video, that the people in the southern part were called Mwari, and then they were also linked to the Nguni people, and Mwari is the name for God. And yeah, that's a whole other thing, and this is a big deal. So if you know this word, like, I hope it will hit you as it hit me when I found out that this is how it was mapped out. So yeah, this is where Punt is, which would be Tanzania, right? And so it will be areas like Tanzania, parts of Mozambique, parts of Congo, obviously Uganda and Kenya. And all of these areas are predominantly Bantu and parts of Somalia. So this is why I think that, yeah, you shouldn't have a narrow view of what this is, because the landscape has changed a great deal because of so many things that are linked to colonization and what have you. So this is what it actually could have looked like, but then according to this historian, this is what he's pretty certain of. Okay, so all of this throughout this video, I've been showing you different videos from different cartographers and people who did this research. And since we're in this age of free media, and liberalization of knowledge. This is why it's being presented to us, and the ancestors really do want us to know, by the power of that Holy Spirit. So if Punt is here, Tanzania, Congo, Zambia, Mozambique, and parts of Kenya, most of Kenya, and parts of Somalia, then it makes a lot of sense why Somalia identifies with it and why the Egyptians could access Punt through the Horn of Africa. So this is one aspect that is very interesting. So yeah, tell me what you think about this, and if because from now on I don't think it's worth it, because I've been trying to make people just have a conversation, but I think I'm gonna just start deleting negativity because it really just pisses me off anyway. So I would really like to have a conversation if you're willing to have a conversation, but so this is just an aspect of all of the things that I've been trying to say in words alone. But then I just thought it was necessary for me to just bring out the facts, bring out the evidence, and let these pictures speak the thousands of words that are necessary. Especially this understanding that the land of Punt is further down. And what really grinds my gears, in the word of Peter Griffin, is the fact that in all of the conversations that they had in terms of determining where the land of Punt was, none of the scholars, none of the people who were investigating this ever mentioned it being just a few kilometers down south from Somalia, which I don't understand why it wasn't like that. But I guess it's because of the advancement of the land of Punt and all of these aspects, which is information that I put in other videos. So please go through all the other material about the land of Punt and all of that. And so this is it. And if you can support this channel, help it grow. If you put more in, you get more out, and that's just how it is. So this is just showing the Bantu migration and how, even if this is in the land of this area, so it still is corresponding to the fact that this is in the land of the Bantu in this area here, which is where this person put this map to correspond to the land of Punt, as this team person, scholar, professor understood it. As I said in the beginning, I'm not a cartographer. I don't make maps. All right, I'm not into Photoshop. All I'm into is music, art, poetry, history, and spirituality. And this is why I'm bringing this to you. Yeah, and I'm into finance and stuff like that. But that's besides the point. Finance is crazy stuff. Finance is finesse. But well, let's not go into that. But so here, all of these cultures are part of this Bantu expansion, and these Cushitic people are part of this Somali and the Kush area, right? So you see, like, these people were bordered around each other, right? And then this is why it's somewhat of an entanglement of different people who share the same culture, because Kush, Put, and Mizraim, 1, 2, 3 people shared this whole continent, but they were brothers. So this is why I feel like negativity has no room here, because in any case, this is all one family. All right, so it's one family with 3 different names, 3 different ideas. It's like you have 3 different disciples. You have John, you have Andrew, you have Peter. They're all part of Jesus' disciples, but they're different. The only person who was a problem was a person who was called Canaan. But then the rest of these guys were alright. So if a person has negativity, if a person is filled with hate, because like some people used to tell me, like, no, a bunch of people have no heritage. They just like, wow, I was really shocked that people think that, and saddened by it. But then I've really seen a lot of crazy stuff, or heard a lot of crazy things because of this understanding here, just this map here. And if this is to a person who understands English or understands the plain facts. This vindicates the whole aspect of it being not only limited to a certain place, but yeah, some people will never be able to understand, because this is why the scripture will say, even though they see, they will not see, they hear, but they will not hear, and all of that. So the stiff-necked people, this is what it's talking about, and I've seen it firsthand. All right. So, and all of this is happening to my people who perish from a lack of knowledge. So why is this important? This is important because when we have the area, when we have the humanity that is Ubuntu, 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 who have a strong understanding of humanity as it's supposed to be, as a basis, as breath, as Havela. So yeah, just go over other material that I've gone over this subject, and I'll still add more. But yeah, so yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to rock with me with this, and pretty sure I'll see you soon, and we'll have more to talk about. So thanks a lot for your time.